Elizabeth Show, ready to go live in 3, 2.
Hello, everybody. Elizabeth Kline here. I wanted to just take a few moments and address my clients' concerns. I've had several of you reach out to me and say, hey, what's going on with this NAR settlement? What does it mean to me as a buyer? What does it mean to me if I'm getting ready to list my home for sale? And really, nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody really knows what the future is going to look like. This settlement is not approved by the courts yet. And if it does get approved, it won't go into effect until July. So I'm going to share some thoughts, preliminary thoughts that I have on the settlement and my opinion on what's going on and who I think this is going to affect the most. But really, we're not going to know until the year unfolds. So the NAR settlement, I'm going to just look down here because I'm reading. It came about following a federal class action antitrust lawsuit. Okay. The plaintiffs were saying that NAR, the National Association of Realtors, and other major brokerages colluded to artificially raise seller commissions. Let's just stop right there. I 100% disagree with this. I will tell you personally, as an agent, I've worked across various RE/MAX franchises and also now with Samson Properties. And never once in my 10-year career has anyone come to me and said, you must use this commission rate for this seller, or you must charge this commission rate. It's actually quite the opposite. When you're an agent, you have to prove your worth to your clients on the listing side, especially to say, hey, hire me because I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And they're interviewing 3 or 4 possibly more agents to fill that position. So there is in no way, shape, or form any set commission. There never has been. So I am literally mind blown as to how this even came about, to that there was thinking in that capacity. Everyone who has a TV knows there's people out there like Redfin that advertise 1.5% listing fee. Right? So no one's under a rock here that there are varying commission rates that can be garnished as a seller. Also, I want to just point out, you don't have to use a realtor to sell your house. There's no mandate. There's no law. There's no ruling that says if you're a homeowner in the United States of America, you must hire a real estate agent. And then that agent's turning around and colluding with all these different brokerages to say, oh, not only are you forced to use an agent, you're now forced to pay this specific amount. It's complete baloney. Everyone knows if you own a home, you can do a private sale, you can sell to your neighbor and just do the paperwork yourselves. You do not have to hire an agent. So I'm literally floored as to how this even got this far. Regardless, it did. And I want to touch a little bit on just actually some more thoughts on that before we go into the changes. The other thing it says in this wonderful article I'm reading here, it says that before the settlement agreement, the regulations discouraged buyers' agents from showing certain homes to their clients. This was done by incentivizing agents representing home buyers to avoid showing their clients listings where the seller's broker was offering a lower commission to the buyer's agent. So I don't know about you, but I represent buyers and sellers. When I'm representing buyers, more often than not, the buyers are the ones coming to me saying, this house just popped on the market, let's go see it. Because it's not my role anymore to bring to light houses that are for sale to buyers. Technology has changed all of that. So you can log on to the internet as a buyer and find homes for sale across multiple platforms without even using an agent, right? Anyone heard of Zillow? Anyone heard of Redfin? Anyone heard of Realtor.com? For sale by owner. These are all public sites. You don't have to pay to belong to them. You can log on and see what's happening in the market. So the fact that they're saying that collusion of commissions was happening and that because of that, we were steering our clients away from certain houses. I couldn't even hide a house from someone if I wanted to. So if someone comes to me as a buyer and says, "Hey, Elizabeth, this house just popped up," I'm not going behind the door and saying, "Oh, what's the commission rate on this one? Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, this commission rate's a little bit low. I'm not going to show you this house." Are you kidding me? I mean, people aren't doing that. We're in a field to serve the buyers. I mean, I guess maybe there's some agents out there who made up an excuse as to why they didn't want to show a certain house, but this as a general reasoning for the lawsuit just does not make sense to me. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to now talk about the main changes that the marketplace is going to feel. Okay, so the first change, it says, and again, I'm reading from this article, NAR, National Association of Realtors, agreed to no longer require a broker advertising a home for sale on MLS to offer any upfront compensation to a buyer's agent. Also, MLS must eliminate any fields indicating broker compensation. Okay, so let me explain to everyone how it works now and then how they're proposing it's going to work after July. So let's say you want to sell your home and you don't want to do it on your own. You want an agent, you want representation, you want someone to take you through this complex transaction from A to Z. And you chat with a listing agent, you're happy with them, and you come to the point where you're going to talk about commissions. So the way it works now is that, let's say you were hiring me as your listing agent. I work for Samson Properties. Samson Properties is my broker. I am the agent under the broker that you would be working with. So the listing agreement says the seller agrees to pay the broker X% commission for listing the home, inclusive of marketing, video, signage, negotiations, taking from ratification to close, monitoring the entire transaction, helping with any bumps along the road, everything and anything included. So typically that percent, and let's just call it 6%, which I will tell you, I have not charged 6% in probably the past 8 years. Let's just say 6% because that's what all the articles are saying, that everyone gets 6%, which is crazy. Let's just call it 6%. What happens is the broker that's listing the home, in this case, Samson Properties, would get the entire 6% at closing. And then they turn around and they have a sharing amount that was advertised on the Bright MLS so that the buyer's agent could see. So for example, let's say in this case, it was shared 50-50. So the listing side would be 3%. The buyer's side would be 3%. That's been how the marketplace runs, how the marketplace has functioned since I've been in the industry over 10 years. So again, the listing side negotiates the commission. The broker is the one who then decides to share a portion of that out to the buyer side. Okay. So this home seller never truly was paying directly for the buyer's agent, but as part of bringing attention to a home, competition is the number one thing that's going to push your price up. The number one thing that's going to drive competition is offering an incentive for buyers to be professionally represented and to have that paid for. So ultimately, it comes back to help the home seller at a very small cost. More so in our market, we see a 2.5% share with the buy side and a match of a 2.5% on the listing side is more so what I see. I do see variations on that. I have seen some listing agents, not me, charge 7% to their sellers. That is what I think should be illegal, but that's a whole other topic. So sometimes on the final settlement statement, that's where you're going to see the amounts that come out. Sometimes listing agents are keeping 4%. or 5% and offering 2 to the buy side. So there is absolutely positively no collusion on commissions. That is complete BS. And I digress, but this point does make me kind of mad. So anytime you're going to do anything in life, whether you're going to get a haircut or you're going to get your garage door replaced, there are varying prices you're going to get from different people. Same with us, same with agents. Okay. So the change is that share side is no longer going to be listed in the Bright MLS listing. It doesn't mean sellers can't still offer a share side. It doesn't mean that it's going away, but the way we have been able to see it in the past will change. So I suspect what's going to happen after July is that, let's say the buyer wants to see these 4 houses. I'm just going to have to call each listing agent and say, is there a share side being offered on X, Y, or Z? Some will continue to offer, which I think most will continue to offer, because once someone's educated on that, they're going to understand that, hey, offering maybe 2.5% off of my proceeds could garnish me another $40 to $60 to $100,000. It's a no-brainer, right? So there's a lot of educational component that's going to go behind this, that should be going behind this. But that is the big change, okay? So not super big of a change. The big change is people who are listing their home can still offer a piece of the commission to go to the buyer side, but it just won't be typed out on the MLS. Buyer's agents are going to have to do a little digging to find out what that amount is. So that is the first major change. Okay, so let's just say that come July, let's say certain home sellers decide they are not going to offer any compensation for someone on the buy side to have an agent. Okay, this is where it can get very, very scary for buyers. This is going to hurt buyers 100%. Let me explain why. Okay. There's 2 sides when a home is sold. There's a list side and a buy side. On the listing side, when you're selling a home, assuming you're not underwater on the house, you have funds coming in at settlement, at closing, right? You have the money coming in, you have your proceeds coming in. From those proceeds right now, that's where your realtor commissions are paid from, and your closing costs. Yes, sellers, you have some closing costs. They're very small. They're at least in our area where I work, they're about 0.4% of the sales price. So let's say on a $600,000 house, they might be $2,500. All right. So if you're not going to offer any commissions and you're just going to sell your house, you pay about $2,500 and you're done. On the buy side, it's completely different. On the buy side, let's say on a $600,000 house, you're putting down 10%. This is going to vary. Sometimes people put 3%, 5%, 10%, 20%. I've seen 50%. Okay. We're just going to use an example. 10%, you're going to pay $60,000 cash at settlement for your down payment. Then your closing costs as buyers are typically about 2.5%. So on a $600,000 house, that's another $15,000 cash you need to have saved up to even start your home search. So that's $75,000. And in our marketplace, here in West Springfield, $600,000 that's an average price now for a townhouse. Forget condos, forget a single family. I mean, this is where the market is based off of supply and demand. So if now the buyer wants to purchase a home where the seller is not offering compensation, they either have to go unrepresented, which is extremely scary, especially for first-time home buyers. I've been doing this over 10 years. I wouldn't even go unrepresented. I wouldn't tell anyone I know to go unrepresented. There is so much to know in these transactions. And once you buy a house, you can't return it. It's not Nordstrom. You can't go back 30 days later, try it out, and then take it back. Tags off. Forget it. You own this house. And Virginia's a buyer beware state. So there are a lot of things you should be getting guidance on when you are purchasing a home. So if you're now looking to purchase a home, without being offered compensation, you may have to pay on top of that $75,000 an additional charge for someone to represent you. And let me ask you this, is someone who's really seasoned and good and who's been doing this as their livelihood the past 10 years or so going to just quickly write you a contract and and put it in for a low amount? They shouldn't. If you were going to go get surgery, or do you want a surgeon who's been doing this a really long time, or the brand new kid who's maybe still in an internship? I mean, you know what I'm saying. People are worth their money if they're good. If someone is good, paying them a commission is going to save you tens of multiples of thousands of dollars of that in problems on the back end. So you want a good agent. Agents that are going to start popping up to represent buyers where the seller's not paying them, they're going to be the ones that can't do anything else, right? That's better than flipping hamburgers at McDonald's. They can instead come out and pay and charge a very low fee. You get what you pay for. You might as well not even have representation, if you ask me. So this can get very scary for buyers. I suspect in an educated marketplace where supply and demand is uneven, like it is in our area, and from what I hear across the country, inventory levels are down, I suspect smart sellers are going to understand that they should still give a share to the buyer side, because if you now attract 10 buyers versus one, your leverage to get a better, cleaner transaction goes up significantly. So yes, this could very, very well impact buyers in this marketplace. Um, and we're going to see how this shakes out. But just like now, as agents, we have to prove our worth on the listing side. We now have to start doing that more on the buyer side. I kind of exclude myself in that because I do, and I make my buyers, before we start, I make them come to the office or we meet somewhere, and I do a full buyer's consultation with them. At least it's an hour long, usually more. But I need my buyers educated. What forms am I going to be signing? How does this process work? What are the market what's the heat of the market right now? Where are my pockets of opportunity if I were to try to time the market? What kind of concessions should I be expected to give? What are other people offering that I'm going to need to do to compete against them? All of these things we cover upfront. And I do know a lot of buyer's agents that don't. They maybe meet someone at a house and they're saying hello at the doorstep, they're opening the door, and they're hoping and praying these people want to write an offer. That is not a service. Those types of agents hopefully are going to be flushed out of the system because there's no need for them in the system. The barrier to entry to be a real estate agent is very, very low. You take 60-hour class, you pass the test, you pay some fees, bam, you're an agent. Doesn't mean you're a good agent. Doesn't mean you know what you're doing. 99% of what you have to learn to become an agent is not practical stuff that you'll be applying in the field. And when you're hiring someone to guide you through this process, you should do your homework. Do not hire your neighbor who just got their license, or your sister who is a veterinarian but happens to have their real estate license. These are not people that are in the game, that are going to guide you, that are going to know what's going on. So if the marketplace is going to turn, if all the sellers stop offering compensation, another pool of money you're going to have to come up with as a buyer is to hire a good, solid agent to get you through this process. So we're going to see what comes of that. Again, this change does not mean sellers cannot offer a share, but if they choose not to, which a lot of them do now on for sale by owner, a lot of them do now. And do you know what the statistics are on the sales prices of for sale by owners versus people who list? It's like this. For sale by owner sales prices are way down because if you're not pulling in a good pool of buyers, competition pushes that price. Without competition, you're toast. So we've already see what happens without offering that compensation. The other thing I've heard tossed around, which kind of irritates me, is that this settlement is going to drive home prices down. I don't know about you, but the number one thing that drives pricing is simple. How many buyers are there to how many houses are there? Supply and demand. That is it. I pull market statistics every single month across price points, across areas in our area here in Fairfax County. Every single price point has about one or under one as a result of the absorbency rate. What that means is that there's less than 1 month worth of inventory to support the demand at any one time across any price point, whether you're looking for a condo, a townhouse, a single family, a mansion, it doesn't matter. For it to be truly a buyer's market, we would need that number to be a 5 or above. We're not even at a 1.5. So in our area, there's not a lot of undeveloped land. And the jobs are strong. The government is here. The schools are good. People are continuing to come in. A lot of military families have to come here. And so supply and demand is not changing. This lawsuit is not going to change home prices. The sooner you can buy a house and build equity, the better. Okay. The other change that this settlement is going to put into place is that it will now be required, which it always should have been, required for buyers and buyers agents to have a written agreement in place before opening a stranger's door and taking someone inside. I cannot understand how this wasn't a requirement prior to this settlement. I love this piece. This is going to force people to slow down, make sure they understand what their agent's going to do for them, give us as agents a chance to explain our worth and spell out what happens if the seller doesn't have a shared percentage to pay us as agents. What happens in that case? How much am I expected to pay as a buyer? All of that will be spelled out in advance. So I do like this change. This is going to get rid of, if you guys have ever heard the term speed to lead, what that means in our real estate world is that with social media, with the internet, with all of these different websites out there like Open Door and Redfin, instant showings, what was happening is you could just be sitting at home, scrolling along and see a house you like and push, oh, I want to see this house tomorrow at 10 a.m. Click a button. You show up tomorrow at 10 a.m. A magical agent shows up out of nowhere, opens the door for you and lets you in. No agreement, no understanding. The agent probably doesn't even know if you're pre-approved to buy a house. This has just gotten completely out of control. So having this new ruling where, look, you have to have a signed agreement before a buyer's agent can let you in a house is a very, very good thing. It's going to cut back on people coming out to see homes that really can't afford them. They're just wasting everyone's time. But also it's going to give buyers a chance to cross shop buyers agents. You don't just want to work with someone because they showed up on the doorstep because you clicked a button. Who are you working with? What kind of advice are they going to give you? What kind of experience do they have? Do you think it's really that easy just to walk in and buy a home? It's not. There's a lot that goes into it. And even after the sale, I every single year touch base with my past clients multiple times across the year. Happy birthdays, anniversaries. Can I help you? Do you need tax return information for your tax returns? Things that after the sale, we continue to build and provide value to our clients. So again, make sure you know who you're working with if you're a buyer. This change is going to be good for that. So guys, I think that pretty much wraps up what I wanted to say and comment on the settlement. Again, lots of things may change between now and July. And once July comes, if this all gets approved by the courts, we will start to see how sellers respond to this change. Again, it's not really a change. It's always been something you could choose to pay or not to pay. I think it's just more brought to light now. The very best thing that you can do if you're going to buy or sell a home is to make sure you are connected with a strong agent that knows what they're doing. Because no matter what happens with this lawsuit or this settlement or the new rule changes, one thing is for certain, people are going to still need to buy and sell homes. So if you need a referral agent anywhere across the country, please call me. I have a national referral network where I can connect you with a strong, solid agent in your area for either listing or buying a home. If you're in the Northern Virginia area, please give me a call at 703-829-LIST. And remember to subscribe and share the show and like this show so that others can hear what we have to say and we can support and help as many people as possible that are looking to buy or sell homes. Thank you so much. I am Elizabeth Ann Kline, and I will see you on the next episode.
When you're ready to sell your home,